And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we are doing a classic hot and sour soup. Now before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that we have an affiliate link with Chef's Temp. If you need a kitchen thermometer or meat probe, please check out the link in the description below and use code LOVEYOURFOOD on checkout for 15% off your order. We also have a Patreon. I'll put a link for that in the description below if you'd like to support us there. In the meantime, here's our ingredients. So we're using some chicken stock, some sesame oil, some chili garlic sauce, some green onions, some celery and some carrot, some ginger. We've got some baby corn, some snow peas, some rice wine vinegar, some soy sauce, some psyllium husks, some dried mushroom. We've got a shiitake and some dried black fungus, some medium firm or firm tofu, and some bamboo shoots. Now, we've got our bamboo shoots pre-cooked. Now, we're going to start off with our dehydrated mushrooms. So we've got dehydrated black fungus and dehydrated or dried shiitake mushroom here. So we're going to pour some boiling water over these and let them bloom for a little while. Now, that black fungus is going to spread out and basically fill this entire bowl. We're not going to use all of it. You should be able to find that in in the ethnic section of most grocery stores. In the meantime, we're going to get all of our ingredients cut in basically the same way. So we're kind of going to julienne everything into long shoestring, like these carrots, because that's sort of the vibe of the soup. It's what we really want to do. For the celery, we're going to do a really long bias cut on it, so it's pretty thin and fairly long. And for the green onions, we're going to cut off the greens. We're going to use those later, so hold on to those. And for the whites that we're going to use right now, we're going to cut those into long strips. And again, basically, we're just going to julienne those. Now, this is all going to go into our cooking pot here. We've got a big Dutch oven, a little bit of hot neutral oil at the bottom there, just using vegetable oil. And we're going to add in all of those veggies. Now, this is just the first addition of vegetables, and we're just going to start with these because they take a little longer. They need a little bit more time to cook down and soften. So in goes the carrots, the celery, and the green onions. Or at least the whites of the green onions. The greens are going to come later. And we're going to cover that to sort of let them steam as well. While that's happening, we're going to do a little bit more of the prep work here. So we're going to cut our snow peas, again, exactly the same way. We're going to basically julienne these. And don't worry if some of the peas come out of the snow peas. That's just fine. We're going to add it all into the soup. It's all going to end up at the same place. And once our carrots and celery have started to show a little bit of softening, there you can see that there. They're just starting to cook a little bit in there. We're going to add in our snow peas and let those steam and cook with those for a little while as well. Because again, that's something that you want to get nice and soft in your final soup. They will lose their color. They're not, unfortunately, going to keep that nice green color because this soup will cook for quite some time, and they are going to lose that color. If you want them to stay greener, then you're going to want to add them much later. So in addition to that, we're going to add in our box of chicken stock. And again, you could use vegetable stock for this if you don't want to use anything meat-related in this. And we're also going to add in an equal portion of water. And we're just going to let all of that cook together for a little while. So we're just going to let everything come together. And at this point, we're not going to cover it again for now. But we are going to start dealing with some of the rest of our ingredients. So here you can see that black fungus has completely filled that bowl. So we're going to take about maybe a third of that, and we're going to cut it again into pretty thin strips, more or less julienne. You've seen us do this with things like basil before, where you bundle it all together, and I think we would normally call that a chiffonade. And again, with our shiitake mushroom, we're going to slice that pretty thin as well. Now, don't throw away the mushroom liquid. We are going to use that. It's a lot of flavor, so we are going to use that a little bit later. So in goes our mushrooms. So that's the shiitake mushroom and the black fungus, which is very traditional in hot and sour soup. And we're just going to mix those in and make sure that everything is well combined. Next, we're going to get our ginger ready. So we're going to cut that into rounds, and then we're going to sort of squish all of the rounds a little bit and then cut it into a pretty fine dice. I guess you could call it a brunoise. We're going to just cut it very, very small, get as far as close to mincing as we can. We just want really, really small pieces of the ginger in there. We don't want big chunks. And this also helps the flavor just spread through the entire soup. So that's going to go in and really add that nice aromatic aroma to everything. Next up, we are going to just, again, get everything well combined in there. Make sure everything's off of there. We're going to get some more cutting done. So we're going to cut up our green onion greens. And these ones, surprise, surprise, we are also going to chiffonade into nice, thin little threads to go with all of the rest of the ingredients in this soup. And we're going to do the same for the bamboo shoots. So these we are cutting into halves, and then we're cutting the halves into the smaller half into quarters. And the bigger half you see here, we are kind of cutting into panels. And again, we're going to do the julienne like we did with the carrots, just to get the same sort of shape for all of the different ingredients, because it really is a very texturally enhancing thing for the soup. And for our little mini corns, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut them into quarters so that they have that nice thin sort of cross section in there, and it sort of matches everything else, and the whole thing comes together really nicely. So we're going to add in the mushroom liquid. We're going to try and keep as much of the junk at the bottom of the bowl out as we can, because some of that's dirt. Some of it's spores. We're going to get in our vinegar and our soy sauce as well. And we're going to get in our chili paste. Now, this is really a personal taste. If you want more, add a little bit more. That's certainly up to you. We are definitely going to add a little bit more. In ours, we wanted a little spicier than it turned out, but it's entirely up to you. That's the chili garlic paste. Really, really simple to adjust the flavoring with that. Now's a great time to taste it and see if it needs something. At this point, we're going to add in our psyllium husks. Now, traditionally, this would be made with something like cornstarch or even rice starch. We are using psyllium husks to add a little bit more fiber to it, and it has a very similar effect in the end result. Now we're going to cut up our tofu. The tofu we're not going to julienne, we're going to cut it into cubes. Now this is a medium firm or a firm tofu that we want to use for this. So it's not going to just fall apart when you add it into the soup. And you can see here we've got some nice cubes of it, and we're just going to add all of those in there. So we're going to add all of those other ingredients. So that is the greens from the green onions, the bamboo shoots, the mini corn, and all the tofu. And we're going to also add some eggs to this, which I didn't have in the ingredients list. I apologize for that. But we are going to have a couple of eggs that we're going to add here at the end. So we're just going to put 2 eggs into a measuring cup and give them a little beat together. And you can beat them completely uniform, or you can leave some streaks of white and yolk in there, whatever you prefer. And we're going to just gently sort of drizzle that into the hot soup. And you can see almost immediately, because of the hot soup, it's going to start really sort of fluffing up, and it makes this really excellent texture in there, and it puffs out and makes this great little eggy little mini omelet spread throughout the soup. Makes it a little bit like an egg drop soup. And you can see it. It's all just expanding, and we're just going to stir that in pretty delicately. And by now, and you can see also that the psyllium husks have sort of thickened everything a little bit at this point. And it has basically the same effect as cornstarch. And there you go. That's the texture we're looking for. And then from there, it's just serving. So we're just going to pop that into some bowls. And then you want to just really nicely decorate the top with a little bit of that sesame oil. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Really, really delicious. A really classic sort of Chinese takeout soup that is easy to make at home. It's got a lot of ingredients, but it's a very straightforward kind of method. It's just put everything in the pot and let it cook until it's hot all the way through. Really, really excellent, and we hope you'll give this one a try. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. We'd like to thank our patrons over on Patreon. We'll put a link for that in the description below as well if you'd like to support us there. And remember to love your food.